for the 3:02 start time. Having computer issues, so got it all worked out. You know, you got to be smarter than the computer sometimes. We are, kind of gearing up to start up another week, another stretch of games. This is, getting back on Sunday after we played and then being able to take yesterday off. This is one of the longest stretches that we've had where we're able to practice. We're able to get back and work on some things, work on ourselves, instead of just doing game preparation. And that's what it felt like since the season. This has been I guess it's been 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, but a lot of games in a short amount of time. So we got to get back to working on ourselves and figuring out how we can get better to prepare for Friday's game.
John Sauber and then Mark Brennan.
Hey, Micah, how are you?
I'm good.
We saw Evan close out that Virginia Tech game, and we saw him really take a big step forward when it comes to role in that game specifically. How close are him, Kanye, Jamil, and and I guess we can include Meach in that too once he gets back into cracking the main rotation, right? That group of 8 that you played against Butler.
It's I don't know. I wish I knew, right? With 18-year-old kids. You don't know what day each of those guys is, what they're going to bring on a daily basis. I think that's, with older guys, you know what you're getting every single night out, right? Like they may not shoot it, and Andrew Funk may not shoot it great, but you know what you're getting from him every single night out. And that's kind of the difference between, being an older player and being a freshman. It's hard to play all of them, right? Because somebody has to sit out during that time. And so, I think we're still trying to figure it out. I think as many game minutes as you can get them in meaningful time, we want to continue to do. And then, games are different. Each game is different. Like how people play us, how people try and guard us might be better for Kanye. And then a different game, it might be better for Millsy, right? Like, might be better for Evan. It might be better for Meach. Like, we're still trying to figure that out. But they're always going to get a chance. I think all these guys are going to continue to get a chance. And then, we want to get, as we get closer and closer to the start of the Big Ten conference play, not the early December games, the after. Around New Year's, like that's when we need to really try and get our rotation settled and who's going to be playing and who's going to be able to help us.
Mark Brennan.
Micah, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Hey, I have a little bit of noise going on in the background, so I'm just going to ask you 2 quick things. Number one, just generally speaking, what did you take out of the tournament? What did the program gain from it? And number 2, how do you go about handling Thanksgiving with your team? Obviously, a bunch of veterans, but you also have some young kids who may never have been away from home for this before. So those 2 things. Thanks.
Yeah. For us, the tournament, it was a good chance to play really good teams on short preparation time. So, Furman, we obviously had a few more days, but the turnaround and play Virginia Tech on 1-day prep to play Colorado State. There was 1 day in between, but you had just played 2 games, so you couldn't really do anything on Saturday. So we went into those games really trusting our system is what we talked about a lot. Trusting what we do on offense, trusting what we do on defense, and making the adjustments that we need to make possible to try and win the game. And I thought we did that. I thought we could have been a little bit sharper in each of those games where it took us too long to adjust to what we needed to do. So that's, learning experiences for us as a team. I thought we played really hard. I thought our defense made strides. Thought it, even during the Butler game, it started really turning the tide in that way. So I like where we are right now. I think, even though I like where we are, we still got a long way to go. But we're working towards it. But you see positive steps, right? At this time, I don't know, last year we hit COVID right before we played. Going into Indiana, we had a long break, and I was talking about our KenPom numbers and where we wanted to be and where we needed to get them. We're way ahead of that right now. Just looking at our numbers, where we're ranked on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. So we'll continue to work at it, continue to get better. But it was good to test ourselves against 3 good opponents. Playing on Thanksgiving, I don't think I've ever played on a Friday at Thanksgiving. Right afterwards, so it's a new experience for me as well. A lot of places you're playing in tournaments and you're gone, but being home and doing this is different. We're going to get together as a group. We're going to have our whole team. My wife and a lot of the other coaches' wives are kind of putting some stuff together, so our guys get a home cooked meal instead of maybe going to a restaurant or a dining hall or wherever it may be. So just give them a little bit of a home feeling, being around us as a team, us being around each other, and just kind of sharing this experience together. This is what you go through in college, and we want to make sure their first year, that the guys that haven't been a part of this is special.
Ben Jones.
Hey, Micah, how's it going?
Good.
Good. First question is just a short one, but are you familiar with the Grinnell system?
I am. Yeah, I'm a D3. I'm a D3 guy. I love Grinnell.
I think that has always been interesting to me because it's an example of you can do whatever you want. You could run a scheme that is, we're just going to play really fast and shoot a ton of threes, and whatever happens, happens. You guys have obviously shot a lot of threes, not to that extent, but I wonder from an X's and O's perspective, how do you balance what your strengths clearly are with maybe the inevitability that to win in the Big Ten, you're going to have to establish yourself in the paint to some degree, but at the same time saying, look, maybe that's just not a thing that we're ever going to be really, really good at. Let's just lean into what we're good at and go with that.
Yeah. I leaned into that a long time ago this year, just knowing who we were going to be, right? I think Keba, I think Meach, are going to be really good players for us. But, they're also freshmen and they're going to have learning experiences, right? Caleb's never been a back to the basket post scorer. Like that's not who he is. And, Mikey's more of a face up guy as well. So you have to figure out a way to get those points in the paint in a different way. But the strength of our team is our shooting, and us being able to have multiple guys that can spread the floor, that can shoot, that can move it to each other. And, we have to buy into that. And I think we've done a good job of doing it. Now other people people also know what our strength is, right? So their game plan is to try and take that away. And I think that's where we have to be really good, is to take advantage of that. So I think that's going to continue to be a growth process for us of knowing this is who we are, this is who we want to be, and let's continue to play to our style. When people allow us to play that way, like, we're really hard to guard, we're really hard to deal with. Now we got to be the same exact way when they don't allow us to do that, which people, some people are trying to do. The one thing is, like, and you guys know me, like, whether the ball goes in or not, we're going to guard somebody every single game. So we're going to be in it. We're going to give ourselves a chance. So we don't play off our offense, like, not at all. We're going to guard you, whether the ball's going in or the ball's not going in. So we're going to give ourselves a chance.
Daniel Gallen.
Mike, going back to John's question, with Evan specifically, getting a lot of run down in Charleston and having some success. How have you seen the strides that he's coming along? And at this stage of his career, what kind of role do you see him fitting into for you guys this winter?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I gave Evan a chance because, once you start stepping up to higher level of competition, the athleticism, the length, the speed, right? All those things are really important. And he's got all three. He's got all three. So that's why, and he also, he's played in a really good program in high school. They've played really good teams, everything else. He's not going to be scared. He's not going to be scared of the moment. So you can throw him out there and see what he's going to do, because he has the ability to make some plays that, just frankly, other people can't make, just because they haven't been blessed with the wingspan or athleticism that he has. He still makes mistakes, right? There's still things that he's doing offensively and defensively that he's still unsure of himself a little bit offensively. So, how we're using him and what we're doing right now is not who he is going forward, right? He is just trying to help us win in any way possible. Virginia Tech, Furman, Virginia Tech, they tried to take away different things with switching, but he is such a fast roller that he causes people to help, right? People don't want to help off of our shooters because they don't want to give up three-pointers. Well, if Evan's getting out of the screen, he's rolling down the middle of the lane really fast. You better help or he's dunking it. And now that's opening up shots. I know Funk got a couple of kickouts. He made one, he missed one just off of simple ball screen and roll, just because of how fast Evan is and getting out of the screen. So, he also a couple of times in the game, I think maybe against Colorado State. I'm sorry, I got 3 games all in my head, but they started amping up their pressure a little bit more when we were cutting. We had a bunch of guards in there, but a couple of times I just told it never happened because those guys got open. But I was like, Evan, just go get it and bring it down the court. Right? You got to decide who you're going to put on him. This kid played point guard on his high school team, so I don't he can start our offense, but he can also be a pick and roll guy on the other end of the court. So his versatility. The more he plays, the more comfortable he gets, it's going to allow us to unlock some different things with our offense.
Nate Bauer.
Hey, Mike, you mentioned this being one of the longer stretches to be able to practice at this point in the season. Do you do a self-scout? What kind of approach do you want to take to the next couple of days in terms of self-improvement?
Yeah, that's I spent a lot of time after we played Furman. So I was actually staying across the hall in the hotel from Bob Ritchie. So and I've known him for a while, so we got a chance to talk a lot. And he was talking about how he feels like he on Sunday, he was like, after their game, he was like, I think he did too much preparation for other people. And I told him I tried to do it in the opposite way, where I wanted to make sure that we closed every game, right? Last year, we played LSU and then we played Oregon State. We probably finished that game and went straight into Oregon State and didn't watch anything, right? I wanted to make sure we closed every game this year. So when the Furman game ended, I stayed to watch Virginia Tech play, and Coach Fairley went back with the guys, but he clipped our game. And before we moved to Virginia Tech, we watched our clips offensively and defensively of ourselves. And then same exact thing. We played Virginia Tech. We closed it out that night and watched it. And then we moved on to the next game because it's so early in the season. You can't just go straight preparation for other people. You got to continue to grow as a program and as your own team and fix your mistakes that you're making. So we tried to do that today. We didn't do anything with Lafayette. We talked about ourselves, how can we get better offensively and defensively? Here's some things, some areas where we're lacking. Let's improve these. Let's take today and let's improve these before we start going into preparation for somebody else. And hopefully that, you take these days when you get longer time to just work on your own system and then start working on somebody else.
We have time for 2 more. We'll go Andrew Clay and then John Petitschnott. Go ahead, Andrew.
I can talk shorter if you want me to.
They only get through like 5 questions with you, 20 minutes.
We gotta get our hands up early. Coach, you guys are 5-1. The women are 5-0. They had the big comeback last night. Can you feel that energy of success right now in the building?
You can. I've been fortunate, right? Like, there's great coaches all around here on our campus, but Keegs is in the same building. So I get to see her a lot. Like, we cross paths a lot, right? It's hard for me and Katie Colley or Kale to cross paths when they're on the other side of campus. We're on the practice floor together. We see each other. I go, like, I hide, right? I'm sitting in the stands somewhere. But I go. I like to watch, and because I like to support, especially our women's program, just because they're right here with us. We're going through the same things and we're battling. So they got better, obviously, when I left. Right, I left at halftime. I had to go home. I still got a wife and 4 kids. I got should probably show up for. But I left at halftime. But I was following it online and I was seeing them come back. But our guys were here. I could look across and see a bunch of our guys here, and like, I'm not asking them to come. Like, they come because they want to. In the same exact way, we're supporting each other. So that's what you need. Like, just the push. To keep challenging each other to be better. So we want to continue to get wins. We want to continue to do what we need to do, but like, to see them do that, like, that inspires us. And hopefully we're doing the same thing. So it's cool to see. It's I see how hard they're working and they see how hard we're working. So it's a good feeling.
Okay, last question to John.
Yeah, thanks, Chelsea. Hey, Micah, good afternoon, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you.
So, Micah, I work for the Alumni Association, so it's within this context that I'm asking this question. It looks like our Charleston chapter, just from looking at their Facebook page, they were at every game last week. They had a post-game social after your opening game. It said, at least on their Facebook page, that they thought maybe some folks from the athletic staff would be over. Just curious if you or anyone from your program connected with them, and if you noticed them at the games.
Yeah, we did. We, I didn't get a chance to go. Obviously, I was moving from game to game, but we had some administrators there. We had some families that were there. I know that social they were talking about that as a pretty big deal. So I noticed, right? Like, we're playing Furman, and the one thing that stood out about this tournament when you look at the draw was Furman, South Carolina, Charleston, obviously at home, right? There were a lot of in-state teams there, right? Who had a distinct advantage of being able to have more fans. But when the Furman game tips off, and I walk out there at the end part of warmups, and you look and see how many Penn State people were there, that was pretty cool to see. And that's something that. I've been at some places that really, 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 they love basketball, and they really support it. And when you have that support in tournaments like this, it's so helpful, and it's helpful for your guys to feel like, that they are supported. We used to always say, bring your own energy, because you never know who's going to show up out there. But when you do, when we did go out there and see a bunch of Penn Staters, that was cool to see. So, hopefully we continue to, wherever we're playing, we want to get more and more Penn State people there and to support us, be behind the bench, rally behind us. I said it to Steve on the radio after one of those games that, this train's moving. It's moving fast. But the doors are still open on the train. If you want to jump on board, we got room for more people.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everyone. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you guys. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thanks, Micah. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Micah.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Chelsea.
Chelsea.